What actually makes one electric trike more stable than another electric trike? Stick around to find out. Hey everyone, I'm Dustin. I have nearly 20 years experience in the bike and e-bike industry. Today we're gonna answer the question, what makes one electric bike more stable than another electric bike? Now, before we get into it, hit that subscribe button below. Stay in touch with us here at 630. Be the first to know about all the new content we're putting out, giveaways we're doing, and of course, new product releases. All right, right here I have a few of the 630 electric trikes in our lineup. If you want to find out more about any one of these, head to the link in the description to check them out. Now, if you're shopping for a tricycle or an electric tricycle, stability is probably one of the things top of mind for you, right? A lot of people want to make sure, obviously, that they're stable, they're not going to tip over. And I think there's sometimes a lot of chatter out there that trikes are not stable or they can tip over. Well, the reality of riding any two-wheel bike or three-wheel bike is there's always inherent risk involved. Now, but with that said, there are some trikes that are more stable than other trikes, and there's reasons for it. There's also certain riding precautions you can take to ensure your own stability. So before I get into the specifics about what makes one product more stable than another, the thing that I want to lead with and say the most important thing to stability on a tricycle is how you drive it or ride it. And that goes with the speed control, how you take turns, how you corner, and also how you shift your weight. Now, as long as you're controlling your speed appropriately around turns, shifting of your weight isn't important. But if you want to take turns a little bit faster, how you counterbalance with your weight is very, very important. Now, this is something for a lot of you that maybe won't come naturally because you've been riding a two-wheel bike your whole life. So as you jump onto a three-wheel bike, again, it may not feel very natural in how you get used to it. Now, for some of you, it may be completely natural, but there also may be a little bit of a learning curve. So take it slow, get used to the trike, practice, and over time, I guarantee you, you'll get more and more comfortable. All right, so let's talk about stability and what makes one trike more stable than another trike. So, a couple things that definitely can add to the stability of the trike. Number one, the length of the frame. Number two, the width of the frame. Number three, the tire width. And number four, just the overall geometry, which plays into the first ones. Now, if you think I'm missing anything, you can comment below as well. So let me kind of walk you through some of the differences, and also center of gravity plays a role. So let's start right here with our Easy Transit. Now, this is a 16-inch tricycle. So we've given it smaller wheels to keep a lower center of gravity to keep it more stable. But trikes that are like this, I would call this more of a traditional trike, right? In that it's doesn't have an elongated frame, it doesn't have fat tires, and this is the traditional shape. Now, you'll see a lot of the kind of old school trikes or traditional trikes also have 26-inch tires, which raises the center of gravity even higher. And that increases the tip risk a little more on turns because you're up higher. If you lean in correctly, you're going to lift up that wheel much easier. So with the lower center of gravity, you're creating more balance and more stability. But in this position, the rider is positioned in a way, now that seat's a little low for me, but you're sitting straight up and down, okay? And get my seat post loosened here. Okay. So you can see I have to sit very high and upright to get the proper leg extension. So if I lean incorrectly, there is the possibility of lifting up a rear wheel. Now, again, you'd have to incorrectly steer or incorrectly shift your weight, but that's the risk of this type of frame. There's a lot of trikes. I would say the majority of trikes have this kind of traditional frame where you are sitting upright. So this is why it's important to get used to how to appropriately ride a tricycle, just like a two-wheel bike, right? If you can't ride a two-wheel bike, well, number one, you won't even be able to get moving, but number two, you're obviously gonna fall off. So you can see in this type of trike, you really wanna control your speed around turns and be very careful. And like I said, with a taller wheel, the risk increases because now if you get the weight going the wrong direction, even more likelihood you can lift a tire off the ground. So how do you combat that? Well, what we've done as an example on this model is we've come out with a fat tire version. So that is one way to not only add a little bit of weight to the back tires, which will help keep them on the ground, but also creating more traction. This one rolled away on me. I got to put my parking brake on. Let's see here. All right, there we go. So by adding the fatter tires, let me park this. You are creating a wider base, which is adding to stability, and you're also increasing the traction on the ground. So we've just increased the stability from this model to this model by adding that width on the tires. Now, the other thing I want to say is we have a lot of people come and test ride our E-Trikes. So much of it is personal preference. What may feel stable to one person may not feel stable to another person. And so I want to point out that a lot of people have chose the Easy Transit and that felt best to them because there's other elements to it, how compact it is, how easy it is to steer, that make that their choice. So all the things I'm talking about in terms of how it increases stability are theoretical in a sense, because if someone feels like it's not stable, doesn't matter if I tell them it's more stable, it's what they feel and what their experience is. So adding the fat tires will make it more stable. Now, the other thing too is with these smaller fat tires, 16-inch versus a 24-inch or a 30-inch, keeping that lower center of gravity, increasing the wheelbase, and adding to that stability. In the tire department, you'll see options when you get into the fatter tires, about 3 inches or 4 inches. Obviously, a 3-inch tire is gonna be more stable than a 2-inch, and a 4-inch is more stable than a 3-inch. Now, there are certain scenarios where the width of the tire won't have that great of an impact because the frame will overshadow the need for fat tires. And that usually applies in a recumbent style E-Trike. So we don't have a complete laydown recumbent E-Trike, but we have our simple glide. And we have two versions here, one with fat tires and one with our 2-inch wide tires. So these are 2-inch and this one is 4-inch. And you can look at this frame and you see how it's a longer frame and you have this front fork raked out here. This type of geometry creates an incredible stable base where, in my opinion, there's not much difference between the fat tire and the regular tire version. Now, is there a little bit of difference? There is. Is it noticeable to everyone? It is not. Now, the fat tires have other benefits, like you can ride on trails, off-road, you'll get better traction in those given scenarios. But having the right geometry can make up for the tire size and provide the ultimate stability. So now, again, that goes for recumbents, the laydown ones. Those long, wide wheelbases are incredibly, incredibly stable because of the way that they're set up. Okay. So like I said, you have the fat tire version. And then our navy blue one here, our relaxed body. Again, this is a longer frame, recumbent style. This is also incredibly stable because of how long it is mixed with these 3-inch wide tires. In addition to that, the rider sits very low to the ground. So you have a very low center of gravity, making this trike, and this trike nearly impossible to tip over because of the setup. So if you're out there shopping for a trike, make sure you talk about the stability, make sure you look at the frames and you can see. You can just see by looking at this E-Trike with the length and the wider tires, how stable it is. So, center of gravity, length, wheelbase, wheel width, and the overall geometry. Now I was going to talk about the wheel widths. Most of these wheel widths are about the same. The reason a lot of E-Trike companies and us, you don't want to go too wide because it becomes impractical, right? You're already taking up a lot of space in the bike lane. You're already maybe wanting to fit through doorways. So trying to keep it in a width where it makes sense for easy turning and portability and stuff like that mixed with stability. So, and again, like I said, there's pluses and minuses to the fat tires. I talk about a lot of that in other videos, but if you're talking strictly about stability, it can add stability. So it's about finding the right trike for you, what fits your body, and what's gonna work best for you. Now, if you have any other questions on the topic at all, please comment below or reach out to us, the team at sixthreezero.com, or call us 310-982-2877. In addition to that, check out all these trikes linked in the description below. Also, we offer a 30-day test ride your E-Trike policy. If you don't love your E-Trike in the first 30 days, send it back, no questions asked, no money out of your pocket. In addition to that, we're gonna warranty everything for the first year. Anything goes wrong in the first year, we'll take care of it, parts and labor. And if you wanna come out for a test ride, we're here in San Clemente, California at 1046 Calle Recodo Unit K. Come take a test ride, try all of our E-Trikes before you purchase. Also join our community. We have a Facebook group called 630 Peddlers. You can join the group before you purchase to talk to existing riders to ensure you're making the right choice. Then when you have yours, post in the group, make friends, and finally download the app to track your rides and compete on the leaderboard. So thanks for sticking around, and don't forget, it's your journey or experience. Enjoy the ride.